And as explained in the earlier preview of all three modes of play, initially this will be a PDF only release of the base game that includes 30 all-time great teams. And then as we get our first full season set done later on early this fall, I hope by then supply chain issues have been sorted out and we can release the full print version as well. And again, both the base game and the regular season sets from that point on. So the Excel helper, it comes with 3 tabs. And first of all, it'll have both the Excel helper, which will of course be emailed with the PDF purchase. And also if you so desire, I will have a tab on here that will be added before release, which will just have a straight score sheet you can print out, as well as calculations on how to assign individual stats in quick play and hybrid mode if you do not want to deal with Excel or do not have Excel, which I know some people don't because Microsoft charges a subscription now. It's not enough to soak you for $80 for the program, but I digress. So again, 3 tabs, a play-by-play portion on the score sheet, a drive sim, and this is used in both hybrid mode and quick play, and finally a stat helper. And the stat helper comes into play in the hybrid and quick play mode for distributing simulated stats during those modes of play to individual players. So let's start out with play-by-play because obviously it is the easiest. We'll then go to the drive sim, stat helper, and then roll all of that together. So basically here, the tabs that are unprotected on this are the tabs you can enter stuff in. For play-by-play, you enter obviously the teams, scores up here, and then the line control or trench control ranges, which would be adjusted based on offense and defense. And these in play-by-play mode are determined by a 2d6 roll. The red die will be the first number, white die the second. So a red 3 and a white 6 would be 36, and that would come in under here if you were LSU and it was a running play. So self-explanatory there. The stats down here, you can enter the names of the individual ball carriers, which of course are included. Actually, I'll use LSU since I have it off of the team cards. And the way you enter stats, basically, each one of these rows is 10 cells long. So basically, every 10 rows is 10 carries. So you enter each play based on the number of yards gained. Again, self-explanatory. And as you do this, you'll see right here it is tracking the yardage for me. And all I have to enter once I am through with the game is add up the carries. And again, I know each row is 10. So here he has a total of 12 carries, and that's what I would enter in this column here. And as I'm doing this, you see here it's also calculating the total number of yardage for all backs. We'll do 5 carries for Kiner. And watch the 86 up here. It's going to change as I enter yards. So it does all this calculating for you. And it also transfers up here to the team stats. Let me get the rest of these carries in. So Kiner now has 5 carries for 21 yards, plus 12 for Davis Price. So 17 carries, 101 yards. And then that transfers up here to the team statistics. Same thing with the passing. And we'll use Butte here. We'll say he has 8 catches in this game. All right. So we're going to add the rest of his catches in here. All right, so that's a total of 8 catches, 144 yards. I enter that there. Now, one thing you do have to do with passing is add the number of incompletions. So say Out of those last 4 passes I entered, there were 2 incompletions. I put them, add those to what was already here, so 7 total. And you see here for the passing, it does the total stats for the quarterback. So here, entered in these rows, there's a total, or columns, I'm sorry, a total of 8 receptions, or 12, I should say, 8, 1, and 3. So 12 completions, 7 incompletions makes it 19 total attempts. So that transfers up here. All the yardage is added, and then you would just have to go through and enter touchdowns and interceptions. And you see here how we do that. I'll enter touchdowns in the last cell for each receiver, and then at the end of the game, just transfer that up here. So same thing up here. It calculates the number of passing attempts. Again, 19 for LSU as we added these on, and Bama at this point only had 9. So let's put, let's say Bryce Young goes 2 for 3, an 18-yarder to Mechie, and then a 10-yarder to Latu, and add that 1 more incompletion. That changes his numbers to 9 for 12, 142, and that also transfers up here 12 total passing attempts for 142 yards. And then it also adds your total plays in play-by-play mode and total play-by-play yardage. So that's a play-by-play sheet. Pretty simple. Let's go to the drive sim. Now this is used again in hybrid mode and quick play mode, which hybrid mode, the first half of the drive is simulated based off the drive charts here, and the yardage is entered in these columns, and then you jump into play-by-play mode, and that's when you tab back and enter the play-by-play stats there. For quick play, of course, everything is done here. First half of the drive, and if successful, the second half of the drive and the final result. So for this sheet, enter the teams, and we'll just go BYU and Utah State. Because Utah is easy to spell. Gee. Utah is real easy to spell. There you go. And that will populate everything else here. And then you go in and do your adjustments. And I haven't, and again, these are just hypothetical numbers. BYU runs 54% of the time and averaged 5 yards a pop. Utah State had a yardage adjustment of minus half a yard. And for BYU, it was minus 0.2. And Utah State runs the ball 48% of the time. So you need to, again, add this information, which is on the team cards. And I'll show you where. So down here, run offense, run defense adjustment. So there's where you'd get those numbers. And then the percentage of times they run the ball is up here. And for LSU, it is 50%, as you can see, and probably not see. I know that's very small. But that's what you would enter here. Now, the final thing you're going to enter here is the drive ratings, offense and defense for the first half of the drive. And what the game will do then is it calculates the difference. So when BYU is on offense, they would calculate their drives off the +4 row right here. Utah State's offense is a wash with BYU's defense, so they come off the base 0 row right there. And if you were doing full quick play, you would enter the second drive numbers here in this area, and that would then give you the adjustments here for the second half of the drive in quick play mode. So on the second half of the drive, BYU's rolls would come from the +3 and Utah State's the -1 for a successful drive. And then finally here, the adjusted goal line rating, which is the team's goal line rating, which is in the red box, or goal line right here in red. So you'd enter that and then deduct the adjustment for the other teams. So we'll just say BYU ends up at a 12 and Utah State at 11. And that's it. So adding this or calculating this sheet, and we'll just use BYU since I know the bottom half here is covered by the drive chart overlay. So BYU, first drive, we'll say they start at the 25-yard line. And first portion of the drive, let's just say, is 6 plays, 41 yards. And again, assuming we're going in hybrid mode, we would then jump to play-by-play mode. And we'll say they ended up scoring on this possession. And you can document that on both this sheet and the play-by-play. Second time they get the ball on their own 42, they go 3 and out. So there is no play-by-play mode here. Third drive, they get the ball on their own 28. Now for the first half of the drive, they have a big play. So we'll just document that here. And we'll say that is a big run by Algier. So we'll put the ball carrier that was responsible for the big play here, whether it's receiver or running back. And it's going to be 1 carry, and that's important because as you see as I go here, it adds over here. I'm pointing to the screen like you can see. So here, going off the base calculations, the percentage of run are taken from these drives and populated here in the base. So just off the simulated portion, 5 plays, 23 yards, and then say Algier had a 41-yard run on that big play opportunity. So that is then added here, a 6 carry, and this would be the final stats for 64 yards, and then it gives you yards per carry. And it's important to do this because you want to carve these big plays out and assign them to the actual ball carrier that got them and not have them part of the stats that are distributed. So that's how that works, and then we jump into play-by-play mode and end up getting a field goal on this drive. And here I'm just going to give you an example. Say we're playing full quick play, so BYU's fourth drive starts on their own 36. Going off the drive chart here, we will say they got a 7-play, 41-yard drive. So that is a grinder of a drive. And then that would put the ball from the 36 down to the Utah State 23-yard line. And we have a successful second half of the drive. And you can't see it on this chart. On the final charts after additional tweaking and testing, there will be 6 results, 1 through 3 and 18 through 20, which will have a play number and then a TD after them. So those will be automatic TDs. And what you would do there if one of those came up is you would just use the total number of plays and just say it's 18. 3 plays, it's a TD. So we are 23 yards out, so that's what you would enter in the second half. And we'll just say that's what the result is. And again, that will be on the final charts. So 3 plays, 23 yards, touchdown. And then again, your stats are being calculated the whole time. All right, so let's go over and look at this portion here. So BYU, right now they have a total of 19 plays for 111 yards just off the simulated portion. And of course, that's going to be adjusted by big plays, which will come, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Actually, hold on. Yeah. So this is what's split up over here, and then big plays are added. So out of these 19 plays they ran in simulated mode, 10 were rushing plays and 9 were passing plays. And one thing I forgot to mention is you roll a 1d6 prior to the game and look under where the quarterback is here, and that's the completion percentage you would use for the game. So just say we're using Johnson and LSU. A 4 is 60%. So that would be the number I would enter in this column here, 60% passing, and it's still 9 out of 5. So this automatically calculates incompletes for you, or incompletions in quick play mode, and say he was hitting at 67%. you see that now bumps to 6 out of 9. So it does all that math for you. And same thing here. Say we get into the 5th drive, and that starts at the 40-yard line. We get a big play, and the result off the team big play chart is a touchdown. So we'll go here for big play passes, and we'll say this was to Puka Nacua, again, if we're using BYU. And you have to enter 1 for 1 because obviously a big play will never be incomplete. And you see here that adjusts the final total for passing to 7 out of 10 for Jaron Hall. And this was a TD, so that's going to be a 60-yarder. Now look down here, you'll see the passing yards change as well. Boom. So that's where we're at. All right, so, and then again, total yardage here with big plays and simulated drive. Again, 111 here, plus a 41-yard run and a 60-yard pass. And that is all added in down here. BYU, a total of 21 plays, 11 here, 10 here, for 212 yards, 86 here, and 126 here. And that gives you your final total. So that's really how easy it is to use the drive sim portion of the score sheet. And if you don't want to assign individual stats, you can just take these stats and add the individual team stats to them, or the individual play-by-play stats. Or if you're playing quick play mode and you don't want to assign individual stats, then this would be the final team stats that you would use for the game. And again, it comes out, as I mentioned in the preview play mode videos, the ideal way and the way this game was designed to be played was in hybrid mode. So you get a little bit faster play experience with a simulated portion of the drive, and then going into play-by-play mode will still give you a little bit more variance in the stats at the end of the game. Again, the stats in quick play mode will still work out fine. As you'll see, we have adjustments that we apply when we get to the next tab. And of course, in play-by-play mode, you will get precise play-by-play stats. But again, the game was designed around hybrid, and that's where you will get the most accurate, I guess, for lack of better words, results. Even though play-by-play and full quick play will also give you results which are both adequate and I think at the end of the day satisfying. So now that we finished this, all right, we're going to we copy and paste this portion here, and when we go to the stat helper, and we'll just say we're assigning BYU stats based off these numbers. So you'll paste those in, and then big plays here. Again, we know who the ball carriers were, so we don't have to worry about that. We'll just put that yardage in, and that basically transfers your stats over here, and then you can at that point assign them to individual players. And I'll actually get the BYU team card here and show you how that piece works. All right, so each player here has an alpha grade. So Algier, he was their bell cow for sure. He is an A. So that's already entered there. And his yardage adjustment was a +1, which you'll put there. Now you'll see here, this yardage is broken up, again, just based on what was simulated. Pre-adjustment, he is 9 carries for 32 yards. So watch what happens there. We'll add that yard adjustment. That bumps him up to 41. All right. Jaron Hall is next. He is going to be a J. So that's what you would enter in this column. And you'll watch here, that will change the results here as well. Jaron Hall's adjustment is 0, so you just leave that as is. Whoops. That will be a 0. And we do not want circular references. And then just going down the ball carrier list, Katoa is a J, and Nacua and McChesney are L's. So J, L, L, and there is no 6 ball carrier, so we will just leave that blank. It creates a false value here, which does not affect anything. And we then enter the yardage adjustment. So Katoa is a -1. You'll see his carries go from 2 for 7 yards to 2 for 5. Puka Nacua is a +4. So he's an 8. And finally, McChesney is also a -1. Now that gets to the point here where we again will need to carve, and you see these are the final numbers. This includes the big play. This 54 yards here is what's distributed, and then the big play is added here, so a total of 16 carries again for 95 yards. And when doing final player stats, and we'll use Algier because he had the big play. So on this portion, he had 9 carries for 41 yards in simulated drive. He had 1 big play for also 41 yards. So a total of 10 carries, 82 yards, and that's what you will enter here in the final column for stats. Nobody else had a big play, so you'll just take their stats as they occurred and enter them here. Now you get to the end, and this is where we do the reconciliation, right? So to balance things out, we're going to have to adjust Tyler Algier's simulated portion of the drive. And it tells you right here, we have 10 yards too many applied between the running backs. And then this yellow box shows you what Algier's adjusted total, factoring this in, will be. So we're going to change that to 10 carries for 72 yards. And it doesn't affect his big play, only what he was credited with for the simulated portion. So when I enter that, you'll see I get a 0 balance here. 10 for 72 matches 10 for 72 here. Our stats are balanced, and those are your final stats for the game. All right, now we have to do the receiver stats. So again, based on what we entered here, it's going to be, and this is why this is so jacked up, I didn't change the percentages. Sorry about that. So now you see that drastically affected our numbers here. So I'm just going to redo these really quick. Sorry about that. I should have done that prior to. So yeah, pro tip, make sure you get those adjustments in first. So this is going to give adjusted numbers for Algier, 7 carries for 69 yards, and I'll just do everyone else's as well. And does not look like anyone else is going to be affected by that. So again, we get down to the bottom and we have these adjustments. So the way you take away, here we have 2 carries too many. So we never want to take carries away from the top runners in terms of touches. So we'll take the touches away from the last 2 here, change those to a 0, and that balances that out. Now we have minus 15 yards. Obviously they can't have any. That leaves us a net of -4, and you see here it's already balanced. 7 for 65 should be the total, and that is what your final rushing numbers would be. Sorry for the mix-up on that, guys. But again, it's really simple, and if you get to a situation where, you know, it's iffy, which usually it comes out, again, pretty clean, you know, you just start deducting carries from the bottom and any yards they have, and then any balance of yards, either plus or minus, goes to your bell cow or your top ball carrier. So that's it. Rushing yards are assigned. So end of the day, based on what we've done so far, Algier 7 for 65, Jaron Hall 2 for 7, and Lapini Katoa 2 for 5, and that is it, just due to the number of plays. All right, passing, again, we are we know we had 1 big pass play, so we know that our total numbers here at 60% was going to be 10 for 6. And we'll do the same thing for receivers. This is already, of course, calculated off the rushing, so I don't need to do any other adjustments minus entering the completion percentage. All right, so going down, Puka Nacua is an I, Gunnar Romney is a J. Neil Pau, and I'm going to move this because it's far away and I can't see, is also an I. And then we're going to have Keanu Hill L, Samson Nakua K, Alan Holker L, Tyler Algier K, Byron Rex L, Wake L, and Katoa L, and that rounds everybody out. And then I'm just going to go through and do the yardage adjustments. You'll get a little bit more extreme yardage adjustments with receivers here. And especially running backs. And again, this just helps balance things out in the play-by-play portion of, simulated portion of the game. So you're not going to have big numbers here. You can see, because we've only had a total of 9 passes so far in the game. And again, this is not the complete game. So entering off of this, your final numbers. And again, we know that Puka Nacua got the big play. So for him, he's going to get 60 yards onto that 20. And then we will definitely have adjustments to do as we get through this. We'll be taking a reception away from somebody. All right. And actually, we actually balanced out. So yeah, we balanced out. So 10 for 6. And then our yardage adjustment, we just have to make an adjustment of 3. And again, we'll take that from Nakua to balance him. That just means his simulated reception was 3 yards shorter than originally credited. And we have a 0 balance here, so that is all good. Stats are completely balanced and can now be entered for that game. So really, that's basically it. And, you know, again, if you have any questions, please post them in the comments. But fairly easy to use. And then when if you did, again, a hybrid version, what you would do at the end of the day would be to take the stats here and just enter them back on the play-by-play sheet for your final stats. And that's basically it, guys. So play-by-play, drive sim, and then the stat helper for simulated portions of the drive. And again, that enables you to do a complete statistical record keeping, I guess, no matter how you play the game. And one other thing I will add on this tab at the end of the day is I'll add some final columns down here for rushers and receivers for each team. It'll be in this bottom area that's covered partially by the drive chart now. And what you can do there is just bring your stats over for the, or from, I should say,